How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Leprechaun 6, Back to the Hood. So this is the 6th overall Leprechaun movie in the Warwick Davis franchise, but the 2nd in the Hood movie. So it's a sequel to Part 5. Usually all the Leprechaun movies are unrelated, but this one shares the same setting. Although that being said, none of the characters or plot continues. It's just another unrelated Leprechaun sequel that happens to share the same setting. I don't know why they didn't bring back the characters and resolve the cliffhanger. I guess people just pick these movies up randomly or see them on cable. You can't depend that they saw the first Into the Hood movie, so yeah. Back to the Hood. This is from 2003 and was released direct-to-video. This movie was written and directed by Steven Ayromlooi and stars, once again, Warwick Davis as the titular Leprechaun. But we also have, for the humans, Tangi Miller, Alonzo, and Paige Kennedy. And overall, I guess I have to say, Leprechaun in the Hood was good enough to get a sequel. We didn't get another Leprechaun in Space movie, but we got another In the Hood movie, and it didn't work out as well as the last one. The last one, it was fine. It wasn't the best Leprechaun movie ever, but it mostly worked. But this is the last In the Hood movie. There was not a part 3. It's also the last Warwick Davis Leprechaun movie. He would leave the series after this. And yeah, this, even though they would do 2 more Leprechaun movies, this really does feel like the end of the original run. And it's direct to video, and it really shows this time around. But yeah, the big flaws with this one is it's clearly cheaper than the other ones, but in turn we also don't have much creativity. There's lots of times where directors don't have much budget, and they get creative and they work around it. Sadly, with this one, it feels like they more gave up than anything. There's so many things that you go, okay, they could be creative, they could spin it this way, they could do something else. But no, it's just way too low-key. The plot and drama feels really flat. Leprechaun doesn't have his limericks, he doesn't use his magic near enough, and most of the kills are so-so. And there's also a few weird low-budget movie moments in here, which we will cover as well. But yeah, this is often considered to be one of the worst movies in the franchise. I think people said Leprechaun Origins is worse. I've heard a bit about that one. But yeah, this is not considered to be a great one. I totally see it, but I will say there are a few moments that do work in here, so it's not all bad. There's a good bit where a leprechaun rips a guy's leg off and they do a fun little bit with that kill. There's a bit where the leprechaun's clinging to the bottom of someone's car, and while it doesn't have great special effects, it's a fun idea and a fun sequence, so there are pieces that work. But that being said, pieces that work in a movie that overall doesn't. So I don't want to say it's completely bad. If you happen to catch this somewhere, like, quite often the Leprechaun movies would stream on cable, and if this happened to be on, it's a decent way to pass an afternoon when you didn't really want to invest too much into a movie. Pop it on, enjoy yourself, kind of turn your brain off, watch the Leprechaun kill people, but it's not great. Anyway, in order to further analyze, let's talk a bit about the plot. I won't be doing any major spoilers, and I won't go too far towards the end. But when I talk about the plot, I'll slow down and analyze a few things. And I think doing it this way, we can better understand where the movie works and doesn't. Anyway, we open up with an animated storybook. And this explains that there was a king, and he hired a bunch of leprechauns to protect his gold, but one stayed instead of going back to the forest and got sort of corrupted by the human world, and they called this leprechaun the One. And I think what they're trying to do is imply that there's only one leprechaun that Warwick Davis played. I'm not gonna go for that. In my mind, I consider that each time Warwick Davis does the leprechaun, it's a different leprechaun. They never show how he gets out. They never do. And he just, he always dies at the end of one movie. He's perfectly fine at the beginning of the next. And he'll have things like different powers and different weaknesses. And it's like these got to be different leprechauns. So, yeah, even though they're trying to say it's the one, I'm going to say that this is the origin for this one leprechaun. And even though this leprechaun's known as the one, I'm going to say there's at least 5 more. That's just my headcanon. It's the only way it makes sense to me. Anyway, even though this storybook scene, it looks good. The animation's good. The drawings are good. It's a good looking scene. All this information is repeated later in the movie. And also, we don't have that much budget. Why this sequence does look good, I would have rather that they saved this budget for some of the kills later on. Yeah, I don't know. Cool, but unnecessary. Anyway, after that, we get another opening scene. Yeah, I thought the storybook was the opening scene, but no, that's just the credits. This pastor has stolen the leprechaun's gold, trying to build a youth center. The pastor and the leprechaun fight, and the pastor manages to vanquish the leprechaun back to hell just as he dies. So it's kind of a draw, I guess. With the pastor dead, the youth center never gets completed. And this whole plot with the youth center, I mean, it's a place to find the leprechaun, but they act like it's a big deal at the beginning of the movie, and then they forget the youth center for a long time. It's for the plot, and it also does illustrate themes of things not coming to fruition and being frustrated with the progress of the world, but still, the youth center isn't super important. But anyway, we go to the present, and we meet, I think it's like a year later, and we meet our main characters, and they're fine. They have their own little, they have their own plots, but none of them is written, like, the actors are doing a good enough job to try to convey their characters, but yeah, none of them are given compelling enough plots to really make any of them super interesting. The main guy has recently got married, but turned to a life of dealing drugs. His wife left him, and now he's dating this new woman, and they say that all that happened in the course of 4 months, which is crazy. But also, most of this happened before the movie, and we just get to hear about it, and we don't actually see it. And they're never given enough scenes where it's like romantic, so we're not really rooting too hard for them to get back together, even though that's the whole plot of, like, that's what we're supposed to feel. And there's a few dramatic scenes here with the characters, but we just don't have the proper setup. And yeah, I mean, the actors are trying, but the script isn't there, and so yeah, the emotion just kind of doesn't work. But anyway, they all need money, they're all in a bad situation, and they're having a barbecue at the construction site where the youth center was going to go up. Okay, sure, the construction sites are notoriously dangerous, but why not? Well, one of the girls falls through a hole because, yeah, construction sites are notoriously dangerous. She falls through a hole, and even though the leprechaun was vanquished, for whatever reason, there's still a doorway to his world in the basement, and the girl finds his magic chest of loot. And she brings it out. They're all excited because they have gold and money now, and they're going to start turning their lives around. There's a little shopping montage at Rodeo Drive, but we just see them carrying bags. It's kind of where I talk about the movie's creativity. you do a "we're rich now" montage, and you're just walking down the street with bags. You don't even do the gag where you go and you try on all the different clothes, and then one of the outfits is really silly. It's a pretty forgettable montage. But anyway, of course, their life is being turned around, but when they got the gold, that reawakens the leprechaun, and he rises up from hell, and for some reason, all the hands that pulled him into hell are, I guess, shoving him out or something, because there's more than two hands there. I don't know what's going on with that scene, but the leprechaun's back, and they're going to eventually notice that he's hunting and killing down people, and they have to figure out how to survive and how to kill him. And let's talk about those flaws. As I said earlier, the big thing that kills this movie is cheapness combined with uncreativity. And yeah, like I said, sometimes directors can use their lack of budget, be really creative, and put in passion. But here, everything just feels like we can't do it because we don't have the money. What can we do? That's good. Roll with it. And in turn, the whole movie just doesn't feel like it's creative. It feels like the movie was strangled by its budget and limply walked away. And we can see that primarily in the Leprechaun. He doesn't have his funny limericks. He doesn't use his magic hardly at all. And the kills are super lame. Most of the Leprechaun's kills stab you in the gut. With his hand, maybe he rips out your heart. Maybe he uses a baton or a bong. Yeah, you gotta have creative kills. I still remember the pogo stick from the first movie. I really wish this movie put more of its budget, more of its time into creative kills, because the Leprechaun is still pretty much a slasher movie. You gotta do that. And there's also derivative scenes. You know, the Leprechaun smoked marijuana in the last one. He's got to do that again this one. The Leprechaun ripped out someone's gold tooth once. You see someone get a gold tooth in this movie, you know Leprechaun's going to rip it out again. And this time, he rips out the person's bottom jaw as well, which makes no sense because the tooth was in the top jaw. Was it just hard to get to? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, a slasher movie with kills that really don't work. And the jokes in this movie, there's funny scenes. You know, scenes that are like, hey, we're going to do a comedic bit where the Leprechaun gives a woman a massage, or he does a bit where he's high and stumbling around the kitchen. There's comedic scenes, and there's a comedic character with the stoner guy, but it's not a through and through comedy. Leprechaun in the Hood was a through and through comedy, and it came out much better than this one. But here, it's like comedic scenes, a few comedic characters, but other than that, we're trying to do this serious drama that doesn't work, and I really wish the movie was a through and through comedy, but it really isn't, and large chunks of this movie thinks it's drama when it's a Leprechaun movie. Yeah, don't know really what was up with that, and again, the humor doesn't 100% land. There's a funny scene where Leprechaun kills someone, picks up their cell phone, and tries to flirt with this girl who called him. Okay, that works. There's also this other bit where two of the characters are talking about, we don't use the N-word anymore, we say ninja. And ninja, it just sounds forced every time they say it, and it's not funny, and it just, yeah, it doesn't work. But also, the Leprechaun makes a callback to this scene when he says ninja, but the Leprechaun wasn't even awake when the scene happened. I don't know how he would have heard it and then referenced it if he was still vanquished to hell. So, whatever. But also, with the movie's plot, and the big thing is this movie's plot is super rambly. Basically, Leprechaun will show up, kill someone, people will get away. Oh no, Leprechaun's back, shoot at him. You know, you think, okay, we gotta collect the gold pieces, but they quickly get too many gold pieces and scatter them too far. There's no way to find them all, so you don't have that goal. You know, that was an easy driving force of the first movie. So what do? How do you kill it? I don't know. And it's not till the end of the movie that they find out how to kill it. So finally, at the last, act of the movie, they actually have a direction. But when they have this direction, it simply doesn't work. I won't spoil exactly how the movie ends, but I will say what they were told to do doesn't work. She tries something else that looks like it should work and simply doesn't. And then they try a random thing that's also unrelated to what they were told they should do, and it simply does work. Because rule of three, it's so random. It's like they've been trying to kill the leprechaun the whole movie, they're told how to, it doesn't work, but then the third thing they try at the end just does because that's the end of the movie. I don't know. It's rambly, and also weird stuff that makes no sense. Weird scenes. There's a scene where the girl's car breaks down and cut to them going to a fortune teller. What? Our car's broken down. Time to see the fortune teller. That's just awkward writing. There's a scene where she looks in the mirror and we do a flashback to the fortune teller and then pull back and we're in the mirror again? That is a really weird and awkward flashback. I don't know what's going on. We obviously get things like the rainbow dance scene where they're doing the barbecue. A rainbow shows up and she just gets in it and starts dancing. Then it goes away and all the characters act like that didn't happen. What is up with that? And of course, the big thing with this movie, so many transitions. And for real, it's like the editor just went into whatever program they gave him and used every single transition he could find, or at least that's what it feels like. We get the book page turn, we get the clock, we get every single type of swipe you could think of, and it's not always like if you do a big transition but it cuts between scenes, at least with that, it's showing you that we're in a different scene. But there's like a scene with the police where there's a big transition in the middle of it, and I'm like, whoa, that is distracting. It was already distracting before, but now it's super distracting. So anyway, yeah, this is a movie that really does feel murdered by its budget. A Leprechaun without as much magic, none of the kills are good, and it really does feel like, oh no, we don't have enough money. What can we do? And I do appreciate them for getting it finished and making a halfway decent movie, and some little pieces do work, but it really feels aimless and uncreative, and it's the last main entry in the Leprechaun series before the 2 spin-offs, and it does feel like Leprechaun's slowly dying, and that's kind of sad for a series that had been so big and crazy and over the top. To go out with a bit of a whimper, there is a rumor that they do want to bring Warwick Davis back, and they would do like a Wild West prequel, I heard. That would be good. I would definitely watch another Warwick Davis Leprechaun movie. Legacy sequels are all the rage, and I would love if he got more good movies that he deserves. So overall, not the best. I don't want to say it's terrible. There are pieces that work, but mostly it doesn't. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. This should be my Leprechaun playlist, but not just the Warwick Davis films. This is Leprechauns in general, so you can find my review for Red Clover in there, as well as Full Moon's Unlucky Charms. If you want to see me talk about more Leprechaun movies, you should be able to find a whole bunch in this playlist that should pop up right here. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Leprechaun playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.